Project 404, CIA's secret war in Laos. You know, the popular story of the Vietnam War usually focuses on the Mekong Delta and the Ho Chi Minh Trail. But most people don't realize that Laos was actually the most bombed country in human history. Here's a lesser-known fact. The Ho Chi Minh Trail wasn't even in Vietnam. It was in Laos. The North Vietnamese built and supplied their southern war effort entirely through a neutral country. Project 404 was the CIA's code name for its secret war in Laos. And, get this, the 404 meant the officers did not officially exist. If they were captured, the United States would just deny they were ever there. There's a common misconception that the war in Laos was just a small sideshow. In reality, the CIA actually ran an army of 30,000 Hmong tribesmen against 70,000 North Vietnamese regulars. The overlooked consequence here is that Laos became a laboratory for CIA paramilitary tactics that would later be used in places like Afghanistan, Angola, and Syria. In 1962, the Geneva Accords declared Laos neutral. The United States signed the agreement. So did North Vietnam. But neither side kept its word. By 1964, North Vietnam had 40,000 troops in Laos, building a supply network that could move 20,000 tons of cargo per month into South Vietnam. The U.S. response was Project 404. A small team of CIA officers, never more than 35 at any time, would recruit, train, and lead a secret army of Laotian Highlanders. The Hmong were the chosen ally. They had fought for the French, hated the North Vietnamese, and honestly knew the jungle better than any map. The CIA gave them rifles, rice, and radios. Their leader was Vang Pao, a former French army sergeant who rose to major general in the Royal Lao Army. He was 35 years old and already a legend. Project 404 officers operated under strict rules. No uniforms, no official paperwork, no combat role. Their job was to advise, not lead. But in practice, they led constantly. The air war was honestly the real equalizer. U.S. planes flew an average of 300 sorties per day over Laos for 9 years. The total bomb tonnage dropped was over 2 million tons. The battle for the Plain of Jars was, in many ways, the Stalingrad of the secret war. The Hmong held the plain for 7 years against a better-armed, larger enemy. The CIA's supply operation was, well, a logistical miracle. They built a hidden air base at Long Ting that could actually handle C-130s, complete with an air traffic control tower carved right into a mountain. The airstrip had no lights at all. Pilots landed by following a row of flashlights held by Hmong soldiers. If the flashlights went out, you just pulled up and tried again. The officers of Project 404 lived in, well, Spartan conditions. No air conditioning, no hot water, and sometimes, no mail from home for months on end. Their official cover was agricultural attaché. By 1972, the North Vietnamese had brought heavy artillery and tanks into Laos. The Hmong, who had no armor and no air support that could operate in the monsoon rain, were simply ground down. When Saigon fell in 1975, the CIA did not evacuate the Hmong. Vang Pao and a few thousand of his closest supporters were flown out. The rest were left behind. The legacy of the secret war is, honestly, still killing people. Laos is the most heavily bombed country per capita in history, with an estimated 80 million unexploded cluster bomblets remaining in the soil. The doctrinal lesson of Project 404 is still in use today. The CIA perfected the model of a small number of Americans, leading a large number of indigenous fighters against a common enemy. The human lesson is, without a doubt, the hardest one. The CIA promised the Hmong a country. When the war ended, That country did not exist. The Hmong diaspora in the United States is the living memory of that promise. History that goes deeper does not ask you to judge the CIA's choices. It asks you to remember the Hmong, who fought an American war in an Asian country that, honestly, most Americans could not find on a map. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper.